It was a quiet morning in Cedarville, Illinois, a small town where everyone knew everyone else. The streets were nearly empty, and the soft hum of distant traffic barely reached the residential lanes. 14-year-old Madison Clarke woke up like any other day, but she could feel a storm brewing, one that no one else in town could foresee. Her older brother, 17-year-old Ethan Clarke, never returned home the night before. At first, their parents assumed he was staying out later than usual. But as the hours passed and messages went unanswered, fear began to creep in. By the time the sun rose, the Clarke household was in full panic mode. The police were called immediately. Officers arrived within minutes, combing the house, searching the yard, asking questions. Madison appeared shaken, her voice trembling as she recounted the events leading up to Ethan's disappearance. She seemed genuine, even helpful, describing his last text messages, his last known locations, and the friends he had been with. No one suspected that Madison was hiding the most crucial details, that she knew exactly where Ethan was and what had happened to him. The night Ethan vanished began as an ordinary sibling argument. Madison had grown frustrated with him over a trivial disagreement about borrowing her laptop. What started as yelling escalated quickly. In a moment of uncontrolled anger, Madison shoved Ethan during the confrontation in the garage. The shove sent him crashing into the corner of a workbench. It was a serious accident. Ethan hit his head hard, knocking him unconscious. Panic set in immediately. Madison was alone, terrified of the consequences. She dragged her unconscious brother into the abandoned shed behind their property, covering him with old blankets. For a moment, she considered calling 911, but fear overtook reason. She had learned from TV shows, from gossip, from every story she had ever heard. Accidents could ruin a life if the wrong person found out. She decided then that she would protect herself at all costs. By morning, the town was already talking. Posters appeared on every telephone pole. Neighbors gathered, asking questions. The media caught wind of the disappearance, broadcasting it across Illinois. Madison walked a delicate line, grieving like everyone else, attending school, acting the part of the devastated sister. Her composure was almost unnatural, and yet she hid her fear so well that nobody suspected a thing. Days passed. The search for Ethan intensified. Volunteers scoured nearby forests and fields. K-9 units combed the area. Drones flew above, scanning for any signs. Madison helped organize search parties, pointing the police to areas she knew would turn up nothing. Every suggestion she made, every lead she provided, was carefully calculated to mislead the investigators while keeping her brother hidden. But even the best plans have weaknesses. One neighbor reported seeing a bundle being dragged into the shed late at night. Another mentioned hearing strange noises the evening Ethan disappeared. Small clues began to mount. Detective Daniel Hayes, a seasoned investigator from nearby Springfield, took a special interest in the case. He noticed subtle inconsistencies in Madison's story, discrepancies in the timeline she provided, and behavior that seemed rehearsed. Hayes requested phone records, security camera footage, and social media activity. Hours of footage revealed nothing initially. Then he discovered a 37-second gap in Madison's phone GPS on the night Ethan disappeared. That gap coincided exactly with the time frame when Ethan vanished. Hayes did not confront her immediately. Instead, he began building a psychological profile, studying her behavior, analyzing her interactions with family and friends. The breakthrough came when Hayes noticed something in the shed. A patch of disturbed dirt, a faint scent of ammonia and unwashed blankets. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but Hayes's instincts told him he needed to search further. He obtained a search warrant and approached the shed carefully. Inside, under old blankets and dirt, lay Ethan Clarke, alive, but barely. He had survived for several days on scraps Madison had fed him, small amounts of water, leftover bread, anything she could spare without attracting attention. The boy was weak, dehydrated, and terrified, but alive. Madison, confronted with the evidence, did not panic. She calmly guided officers through her version of events, eventually confessing to hiding her brother. Her reasoning was chilling. She had acted out of fear and self-preservation, not malice. Her clever manipulation of the town, the police, and even her family had almost succeeded. Ethan was rushed to the hospital. Doctors stabilized him, and over the following weeks, he began to regain strength. Psychologically, however, the trauma would linger. The betrayal by someone he trusted most, his own sister, left scars that would take years to heal. Madison was taken into custody. Being 14, her case was handled in juvenile court, but the gravity of her actions ensured that she would face serious consequences. Psychologists were brought in to evaluate her motives, her mental state, and her understanding of right and wrong. Interviews revealed that Madison had an uncanny ability to read people, anticipate reactions, and manipulate them, skills that, in the wrong hands, became terrifyingly dangerous. The town of Cedarville was left grappling with disbelief. How could a 14-year-old orchestrate such a deception? How could a child hide a brother for days, manipulate everyone around her, and almost escape detection? Parents questioned their own children. Schools held assemblies about honesty and responsibility. The local media ran stories about the dangers of unchecked intelligence paired with immaturity. Even years later, detectives reflect on the case with a mixture of awe and horror. Madison Clarke's story is a chilling reminder that appearances can be deceiving, that sometimes those closest to a crime can be the most cunning, and that the truth, no matter how carefully hidden, will eventually find its way to the surface. The case also sparked a larger conversation about juvenile crime, the psychological development of children, and how fear and desperation can drive even the youngest among us to take drastic, dangerous actions. Cedarville would eventually recover, but the memory of what happened lingered, a haunting reminder of how fragile safety and trust can be in a small town. Madison Clarke learned a harsh lesson. Intelligence and cunning can sometimes outpace experience and authority, but the truth always catches up. And for Ethan Clarke, the experience would shape his understanding of trust, family, and survival forever.